Good afternoon, everyone. Jason here. Today is November 10th, and I wanted to spend just a couple of minutes with you making this video. I've had a request here, a couple of requests here today, several actually, on talking about how it is that we got into and identified this $3,000 two-lot ES trade. Why is it that how did I get down to start the session off today? And so just kind of explain this process. So again, as I mentioned, we had a $3,000 two-lot ES trade that we took in front of a live trading audience here today. Prior to that, I had taken some stops on the ES. And so that happens sometimes. You don't want to take stop outs, but sometimes as you're working to try to get into the timing of the entry, then sometimes it takes a minute. So here's what we were looking at today. So as the market opens up here, you can see we opened up right around the RTH mid, rallied up into settlement, and then the market sold off down through almost into this prior day's low, which was down here around 16. We were in this prior day open. The market comes down and then rallies back up again. Now, what I was looking at here, and you could kind of see how the blue box here represents, I'm highlighting the cumulative delta down below, and that cumulative delta is measuring the aggressive buyers and aggressive sellers, meaning that those orders that are hitting the market aggressively. And you can see that we were above the zero threshold, meaning that we were about flat in terms of the number of aggressive buyers and aggressive sellers. If you look here, the market kind of rallies into settlement and begins this sell-off right into this area. The delta was beginning to turn, and it was in that area that I began to look to try to get short. And so I tried to get short, and I don't have it on this chart, but there was a 20 period average. I tried to get short and I got stopped. I tried to get short up here at the RTH mid level, and I got stopped. And it was just, and then I made a mistake on the keyboard and I got stopped. And what I mean by that is I was trying to maneuver around the keyboard, and I actually accidentally put in, and it immediately took me out for a 3-point stop. So by the time that I get into this trade, I'm a little frustrated, but we had good confidence that the delta was coming down aggressively. And what you don't see here on this chart is that the NQ was beginning to follow suit, and it was beginning to roll over. We had some good, on our heat map, we had good liquidity above us around that settlement area. And so I decided to take that trade. So when I get into this trade here, and I show you the video here in just a minute, you're going to see that I'm down ticks going into the trade. I pointed out it's, the profit and loss is shown on screen all day during the trading session. So you're going to see how I'm down as we get into this trade. But look what happens to begin to happen aggressively. Settlement is a reference point on our chart. And so there is from settlement to the RTH mid. Normally I try not to get short above one of our levels, but there was good liquidity parked that we could see on our heat map around settlement. You could see here that the aggressive selling was beginning to roll the market over. And of course, as we got into it, that aggressive selling became even more aggressive as the market began to sell off to the downside. But as we approached that settlement area, there was liquidity pooling up around the top. We had broken through the zero level. We had kind of had this climax looking bar here on the delta, and the market began to roll over. And that was our rationale. And again, I got short at settlement just above our RTH mid level with the idea that there was 7.25 points between settlement and the RTH mid here, right? This is up here around 44, and this is here at around 7. So about 675, 7, that's about 7 points. So there was plenty of room for us to get in and then get safe if that area was to provide support. But you can see here, it did provide some initial support, got a little bit of a bounce here, and then the market just began to roll over super aggressive. And then we were looking at our RTH signal. And then, of course, the low of the day down here is 06.5. We ended up taking this entry here at 43.75, and you have to kind of picture that there's a 2.5 point box around the RTH signal on either side. So there's 10 ticks in both the CL and the ES on either side. So we were targeting the bottom end of that range, which happened to be 13.75 and was an even 30 points. So when I show you this trade here, you're going to see that I'm down ticks. You're going to see and hear me get into the trade. Again, the rationale for the trade is we had found resistance at settlement. That often happens on the ES. We were looking for that to hold as resistance. There was liquidity stacked up around it. And then, of course, the cumulative delta had begun to roll in our favor. And so from there, once we broke through the RTH mid, we know how our levels work. It was a easy thought to come all the way down into that RTH signal and then just to the other side of the range around that signal, which gave us a very clean 30-point 2-lot ES trade of the day. So I'm going to let you watch that trade. You're going to hear where I get in. You're going to see the price ladder. You're going to make sure you pay attention to the top of the price ladder to see where I'm at in terms of ticks on the day. And then I will chop up the trade into pieces, speed it up, put some music behind it, and then you'll be able to see where it is that we exit 30 points later. So we had a 3-point stop, initial stop, and a 30-point target times 2 lots. That's a 10-to-1 reward to risk ratio. So without further ado, here is that OTG trade of the day. Well, I'm 75 short again. Stop is 46.75.